I had a client say to me recently that they wanted to learn everything I know about Google Ads, and I told him that would be a $10,000 course. He laughed, but I wasn't joking. Now, don't worry, instead of charging you 10 grand, I'm just gonna put all of this in a video for free. Everything I know, nearly a decade inside Google, $1 billion in managed spend, and scaling some of the fastest growing SaaS companies with Google Ads, and I'll distill it down to the most important principles, strategies, and lessons. Let's get right into it. The first thing to understand is that Google Ads is not a bidding war. Even though it looks like one, the auction runs on something called ad rank, which is your bid multiplied by your quality score, plus your expected impact. If you don't know what quality score is, it's essentially Google's rating of how relevant your ad is to the person searching, scored from 1 to 10. And it directly affects both where your ad shows up and how much you pay per click. So a competitor bidding $10 with a quality score of 4 has an ad rank of 40, while you bidding $5 with a quality score of 9 have an ad rank of 49, meaning you win the top position at roughly half the cost per click. I've watched this happen over and over at Google with clients who thought they needed to spend more to compete, and almost every time the answer was to optimize more, not spend more. The biggest lever inside the ad rank calculation is quality score. A quality score of 7 reduces your cost per click by roughly 28% compared to a baseline score of 5, and a quality score of 10 cuts it by 50%. On a $10,000 per month budget, moving from 5 to 7 means $2,800 back in your pocket every single month without changing a bid, restructuring campaign, or anything else. Now, quality score is determined by 3 things: expected click-through rate, ad relevance, and landing page experience. And the agencies that focus only on bidding while ignoring these 3 are paying more than they need for every click they get. The third piece to understand is smart bidding, and having spent 9 years inside Google, I can tell you the way most reps pitch it to advertisers actually make the problem worse. This is because they sell it as a hands-off solution where you set it and forget it. But smart bidding is a machine learning algorithm, which means its output is only as good as what you give it. If your conversion tracking is counting page views as leads, the algorithm thinks page views are what success looks like. So that's exactly what it goes and finds you more of. So before you touch a bidding strategy, you need your conversion actions to represent real business outcomes, specifically demo requests, trial signups, and qualified lead submissions, not micro events that don't connect to revenue. By the way, if you're already spending money on Google Ads and you can't tell which campaigns are actually producing revenue, click the first link in the description to get a free audit by me. Anyway, let's keep going. What's wrong inside most Google Ads accounts? Now that you understand how the system actually works, let's get into what usually is going wrong inside it. And I can tell you this from auditing 10 Google Ads accounts every week for the past year on top of 1,000 plus I managed at Google. After looking at that many accounts, the same thing shows up every single time, whether the company is spending 5K a month or 500K. It always has to do with how the account is built, not how much is being spent. The most common thing I find when looking at a Google Ads account is way too many campaigns running at once. Sometimes I'll see literally 12 of them, when really the account only really needs a handful to cover the different intent signals. Because when you split a 10K a month budget across 12 campaigns, Google's algorithm doesn't have enough data in a single campaign to optimize. So the fix is to collapse your campaign down to the fewest number that still separates distinct intent signals, branded from non-branded, demo intent from informational, and then let each campaign accumulate data. The second thing I constantly see is ad groups competing against each other for the same keywords. When you have 2 ad groups both bidding on variations of the same keyword, Google has to decide which one enter into the auction, and it won't always pick the right one. What you want instead is one clear keyword theme per ad group with ad copy written specifically for that intent, so Google always knows exactly which ad to serve. Then the third thing I find in almost every account I look at is broad match keywords with no negative keyword process. Broad match isn't inherently wrong, but running it with 0 negatives means you're showing up for searches that have nothing to do with what you sell. This means your budget is going toward clicks from people who will never be your customer, and because the algorithm just sees clicks, it doesn't know those clicks were wrong. So you must review your search terms reports weekly and add negatives consistently. Lastly, one of the biggest mistakes I see is companies running Performance Max without a search campaign underneath it. Google sells it as a way to let AI handle everything across search, display, YouTube, and Gmail automatically. The problem is that PMax analytics almost always takes credit for the searches of people who already knew your company and were going to convert regardless. The numbers might look great, but PMAX didn't actually earn most of them. So if you don't have a search campaign running underneath PMAX, you have no idea what you're paying for. Why your conversions don't equal revenue. Even if you fix every one of those issues we just went over, there's still one thing that sabotages more B2B SaaS accounts than anything else. 9 times out of 10, it's because form submissions are set up as the primary conversion event. So the algorithm optimizes towards form submissions, but now you've got 50 conversions in the month where half don't answer the phone and the other half aren't even your ICP. Google is under the impression it's doing its job perfectly though, because you told it that a form fill equals a successful conversion. In B2B, with a long sales cycle, not all conversions are equal. If your tracking treats them the same, the algorithm will too. So before you build a single campaign, you need to define what an actual conversion looks like for your business. For most B2B SaaS companies, real conversions are demo requests, qualified lead submissions, and trial and activations, because these reliably connect back to pipeline. Micro events like scroll depth, time on page, video views are useful for understanding behavior, but should never be your primary conversion action. The algorithm optimizes towards whatever you define as important, so define the events that actually predict revenue. And then there's offline conversions, which is where you connect your CRM directly back to Google Ads. When a lead comes in through a Google Ads click, Google assigns it as a unique identifier called a G-Click ID. You store that G-Click ID as a field in your CRM, and when a deal closes, you pass it to Google through their offline conversion system. Now, Google knows which clicks led to actual revenue, and smart bidding can optimize towards revenue instead of lead volume. This step easily makes the biggest difference in lead quality over time. We had a B2B SaaS client come to us spending $50K a month on Google Ads, and on paper, the account looked great, 60 conversions a month, low CPA, and the previous agency was taking a victory lap. So we connected their CRM to Google and tagged which leads were actually closing. Conversions then dropped almost in half, from 60 down to 28. Now, that sounds like a disaster until you look at the revenue, because by month 2, they were getting 23 conversions, but 4 of those actually turned into closed deals, which came out to 100K in revenue. So it was the same budget, half the conversions, and triple the revenue. Enhanced conversions are the other tracking layer you should implement, especially as third-party cookies continue to disappear. The way it works is simple. When someone fills out a form on your website, Google takes their email address, encrypts it, and matches it back to their Google account to attribute the conversion. This recovers conversions that traditional cookie-based tracking misses. What it takes to scale, so once the account is built right and the tracking is actually telling you the truth, the next question is how you scale it without messing up everything you just fixed. And scaling is pretty straightforward when the foundation is right. In the first 30 days with any new client at my agency, we don't touch the budget. We collapse campaigns, fix the tracking, connect the CRM, and clean the keyword strategy. We only start scaling the budget once the foundation is solid, because throwing more money at an account that isn't set up just makes things go wrong even faster. Now, the timeline to see solid results from a properly built Google Ads account realistically takes around 3 months. Month 1 is the rebuild and the learning phase. Month 2 is where the algorithm starts adjusting based on the data and it's actually collecting. And month 3 is where the momentum starts to compound and the cost per conversion typically starts dropping. A great example of this actually happening is one of our clients who came to us after spending $70K with another agency and barely breaking even. They saw their MRR grow 43% working with us, with their cost per conversion dropping 60 to 80% after the 3-month mark. And when you do start scaling, the number you should actually be watching is cost per closed deal, not CTR, CPC, or conversion rate. Every agency reports on CTR, CPC, and conversion rate, and those numbers matter, but none of them will tell you whether Google Ads is actually growing your business. A perfect example of this is Fixer. When they came to us, their account showed a healthy cost per conversion on paper, but the CRM showed us something else. Those conversions weren't converting to closed revenue. After rebuilding the account, removing the PMAX dependency, and building intent-based search campaigns with clean keyword structure, Google Ads hit 12% of their total revenue as they scaled from 1 million to 30 million in ARR in 12 months. Now, if you're a B2B SaaS company spending 10K a month or more on Google Ads and you're not confident in what's driving revenue, or your results have plateaued and you're not sure why, Book a free audit with me by clicking the first link in the description. We'll look at the current structure of your account, your conversion tracking, and your CRM connection, tell you exactly what's wrong, and show you how to fix it. This is the same system we ran for companies like Slash, Whisperflow, Fixer, WAP, Cloaked, Listen Labs, and more. So you can book a free audit by clicking the first link below this video. And if you want a step-by-step tutorial, you can get your Google Ads right the first time around. Then check out this video next.